Good morning. Happy day number 2 of Healing Mama's first parent shower week. So, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, everybody. We hope everyone's having a wonderful Tuesday. It is a little gray outside, but it's all good. We're going to have a huge party here. So, we have an awesome guest today. I'm going to invite her in. And we are going to go live with... Yes, it worked!
Hello!
Technology!
I know, I was like, join!
Thank you for joining, Dr. Lydia.
No problem.
Happy week.
I love the balloons.
My son enjoyed them a little too much. We almost only had one balloon left. But he was very gracious to give us both back this morning.
That's nice, yes. He's probably just like, I get them at the end of this week, though.
Yeah, literally, I was packing my car and he was holding it, and then from the car he's like, Mommy? I'm like, thanks, sweetheart. We're gonna have a great party today.
Yes, yeah.
So thank you for joining us, Lydia, and talking about the amazing work that you do. So I'm gonna jump right in.
Yeah, for sure.
Today, so I am gonna pull up. We're getting all high tech today, and we're gonna see how it works. Look at that.
Oh, awesome! Look at that.
This is all the ways you can get a hold of Dr. Lydia, and know all about her postpartum rehab program. But before we go into that, please tell us about why you got in the work of chiropractic care and now focusing on pre and postpartum care for us mamas.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Dr. Lydia Brody. I am a chiropractor. I work out of a clinic here in Burlington, the Ray Clinic, but I also do virtual care for anyone in Ontario. That is the only rule, is we're only licensed and registered here in Ontario, so unfortunately we can't do virtual outside of Ontario. But I basically became a chiropractor out of just my want to be in healthcare. So I knew I wanted to be a healthcare worker in some way, and I had no idea what I wanted to be. So I went to the University of Guelph. I did biomedical science. And then at the end of my 4 years, I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So during that time, I just shadowed a ton of different healthcare providers. And it was almost instantaneously working out of a chiro clinic where I found, okay, this is what I want to do. To me, it was great because I got to interact with so many people during a given day. There were all different kinds of problems or issues people were facing that they were coming in with. It was never boring. It was never stationary. It was always on the go. So I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor, so I went to chiropractic college. It's a 4-year program after university, and then I was done, but I wanted more. So of course I went back and I did more schooling. So I did 2 extra years on top of the 4 that I did for chiro school, where it was clinical sciences. So I was in hospitals in downtown Toronto, really trying to get like this holistic approach for people with low back pain and what other providers they went to. So I got to see the whenever someone went to a medical doctor, when they went to a spinal surgeon, when they went to a rheumatologist. So I kind of got a really good holistic approach as to the average patient, how they deal with low back pain in all different assets of the medical system. Right. So I felt like I had a ton of training. And then I come into practice.
Lots of school behind you.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, I got the knowledge. I've got this. And then I start my practice and was seeing a good variety of patients. But one thing I noticed was my female patients who were 40, 50, 60, right around that like perimenopause mark, they had back pain for forever. And it took me a while to sort of realize, like, why do women just have these pains and they just like are fine with it? Whereas my male patients seem to really want to like get rid of it in a way, and like they they didn't expect to just be in pain for forever because, for example, they had a baby.
Right.
And another common sort of feature was, oh yeah, I've had this for how old is my kid? 18. Okay, I've had this pain for 18 years. And I was just, it just kind of blew my mind. And then I realized that there were a lot of issues, especially around the core, the pelvic floor, and turning on certain muscles that after pregnancy, obviously this is affected. And if you don't have the proper rehabilitation, you can't expect it to just all go back to as strong as possible. Yet a mom, the physical demands are more than they were pre-pregnancy. So your body has gone through this change and it's weaker in a sense, yet your physical demands are 10 times.
Exactly.
And they never stop. So it's not like we can say, oh, just take 6 weeks off and let your body heal, because that's not realistic. That's never going to happen.
Exactly.
So this was sort of this eye-opening experience. And then I started to take more courses because I realized, even as a chiropractor who had taken at this point 10 years of formal education, they don't teach you anything in any school about the postpartum period. We get a lot of information on pregnancy and every single week how the body changes, how the baby changes. And then all of a sudden postpartum, there's usually one unit and it's like breastfeeding. Try to do it. Help the mom. Yeah, help mom with posture, with breastfeeding. And then like that is it. And then I have moms come in, and if that's the only knowledge I got from 10 years of school, why would they know anything different? And why would they know more information unless they're taking very specific courses in that postpartum period? So I want to make it easier for women so that they don't have to spend their 9 months of pregnancy trying to become a postpartum specialist.
Exactly.
They should be able to rely on their healthcare providers to become the specialists for them and to guide them and help them. So that's sort of where I found this gap and I found this need, and I've just kind of really like dived into it.
You and me both.
Yeah.
I had no background in childbirth or postpartum before Healing Mama Co. came into this world until I was pregnant and realized how, excuse my language, early Tuesday morning, how shitty parental care as a whole for both units, the birthing person and the birthing partner, is in our system. And so, you know, this is why Healing Mama Co exists. This is why you do the work that you do now. And it's fortunately becoming a more open conversation. At least that's what's happening in the last year with all the COVID babies that are coming. And so parents are now starting to take an active look at their own care and what is available to them. And so
I think that's like, it's kind of like they say, what is it? Innovation comes from necessity.
Yes.
And that so many of my pregnant and then postpartum moms during COVID have said to me, they just have not had checkups. So they did the research just because they thought, oh, I'm missing out on in-person or regular visits because doctors are trying to limit it due to COVID. And then they're learning things and they're doing extra stuff that maybe they wouldn't have done if they were getting the regular care, because they would have thought, okay, I'm being taken care of by the system that's set up, instead of taking it into their own hands. So that is like one silver lining that I say to my pregnant and postpartum moms during COVID, that, you know, it was necessary that they get more help because they weren't even getting the baseline during all of this.
Exactly. I am 100% with you. And we did our care through the midwifery program for prenatal, and we're very fortunate to have been able to find a team that was available for us. And after our appointments, I would talk to my friends who were going through their let's say family doctor or their gynecologist or whoever is handling their care through let's say the normal system.
Yeah.
And I would talk about our appointment. They're like, didn't you have like 15 minutes? I'm like, no, we had 45 minutes with our midwife. And they're like, oh, well, we had like 15 minutes and we were like in and out. I said, well, you know, it's learning that there are all these different systems built, and they're not equal or all encompassing, and that you do, unfortunately, the way that it is right now, you have to take it into your own hands. Mm-hmm. And the thing with taking it into your own hands is that the internet is a deep and endless crevasse of information. And so getting lost in all of the overwhelm is just too much. It's too much. You're making a baby in your body and you're trying to figure out what's next. And so you're getting lost in all of this overwhelm. So where do you go? Where do you find trusted, resourceful, and actually useful? Like, I'm going to emphasize useful.
Yeah.
And so again, this is all why we've created this Parent Shower Week. So I want you to talk about this postpartum rehab program and your intentions behind building it and how it is now.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's definitely evolved and changed during COVID.
Right.
Because one of the biggest things when I started running a postpartum rehab program was, one, I wanted to make sure moms understood why they needed to do rehab postpartum, because I think that's the case for any injury, for any person. You're only going to get as much out of it if you understand the why behind what you're doing. And then also, how can you integrate that into your normal life? Because I can't ask a new mom to do an hour of rehab every single day. It's not going to happen.
No.
But if we can give her an hour class that maybe she chops up into 10-minute segments, or maybe she learns those foundational movements and she uses them when she's picking her baby up out of the crib, when she's playing with them like, there's all these different things. So I wanted to make it a realistic program for women to be able to do and to feel empowered to do and to be able to sort of choose their own way. But then I also wanted to have this in-person gathering of women who were all in a similar stage of motherhood, where they could be together. There could be community. Because I think especially for a first-time mom, but it can happen in any period, like whether it's your first, second, third, new motherhood is isolating. Like, that is one of the words that almost every mom says. It's scary, it's new, it's isolating. And to bring a bunch of women together who are going through that same period is vital. It's crucial. Exactly. Because there are certain things that can be overwhelming and scary and people aren't talking about. So women think they're the only ones experiencing that. And when they get in a group and one person has the courage to sort of say, oh, this is something I'm experiencing, and another woman says, me too, and then another one, same, all of a sudden it's like, okay, one, I'm either not crazy, I'm not weird, I'm not different. And then it also gives them that empowerment to seek help if help is needed. Exactly. So and then they learn maybe some things aren't normal, they're common. Because I oftentimes in a group of women will say, okay, like, who is peeing their pants still at 1 year, 2 year plus postpartum? And a good number of them will put their hands up and say, yeah, but like, my mom did for forever. My sister has been for years. Like, we know, like, that's just something that happens. And that's when I step in and I say, no. It is not something that is normal. It is common. It is not normal. And there's nothing we can do about it. So once you understand things that can come up, and then you understand what you can do or who you can go to, because there's a lot of times things come up and it's not in my realm to help. Right. But because I've seen a lot of it, I know who to go to. And so I've seen certain people's successes, and I can at least direct you to the right person so that the mom doesn't have to go down that internet rabbit hole of this is my symptom. What could it be? And who do I see? And how do I see them during COVID? Like that could take days and weeks just to figure out who you should be going to see to talk to about a problem. And most moms think, well, I could spend 10 hours doing that, or I could spend 10 hours taking care of my child. So I'm obviously going to prioritize this little one over myself. So my goal is to make things as easy as possible and as realistic as possible for a mom so that she can prioritize herself. I want to take out all the obstacles and say, okay, you've given me every excuse and we've dealt with it. Yeah. Now what? Now it's your turn. Because you can only be as good of a mom as you are as a person. So if you feel drained, if you feel pulled, then you can't like be the best mom possible. And I know that that's what every woman coming in really wants. They're torn between feeling this like, well, I don't want to be selfish and take care of myself over my child. But the reality is you're taking care of yourself for your child. So
that they're not mutually exclusive, but that they are a partnership, that the mother's health and well-being is a direct reflection at the highest potential level of their child's health and well-being. And so that bodes true for all the people involved in caring for the child, including the mother and the father or partner or entire system. If you're fortunate to have a village around you, which right now during COVID is slim to none for many new parents, it's not about me, or it's just about us and how are we going to get ourselves to the best possible health outcome that we can do. Because some people may not have the resources or the means or those people around them. So it's really just being open to it and just doing the best that you can, because that's all we can do. We just want for it and then be open to how it comes into your life. And so your program really truly addresses I've only got half an hour, it's midnight, my baby's gonna be up to feed in like an hour and a half, and I'm not sleepy. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna log on to Dr. Lydia's program, and I'm gonna spend at least 10 minutes on myself. And that's it. That's what you can do. And at least this way it gives you that 24-hour access at whenever you have that moment to breathe. Because the moment to breathe will happen few and far in between in that first initial phase of new parenthood. And so I want you to give us what is your top 3 highlights that you uncover in your rehab program?
So I'm going to give you 4, only because
we'll take 4. If you want to do a little bit more than 4, we'll take it.
The whole rehab program has these like 4 key elements to healing. And each class, if you ever do a rehab class with me, you'll see that we always address all 4 in like our full classes. And so we start with breath work. So breath work is so important for physical healing, but as well as like your neurological system. So when moms are stressed and their nervous system is very heightened, which actually causes more tension, more pain, more irritation. So we need to bring your nervous system down a little bit into more of like a rest and digest state. So belly breathing is one of those things that can bring your nervous system down right away. And so we teach belly breathing as well as incorporating it into every rehab program, because we want to sort of set the tone that this rehab class, at times you are sweating, but it's not your average, it's not like a boot camp. Like you're not drenched in sweat and like jumping around. It's about intentionally activating certain muscles and building this inner strength from your core out. So belly breathing is super important to just sort of set the tone, but as well, it's one of the only ways you can stretch both your core muscles and your pelvic floor. And a lot of moms think that they don't want a stretchy pelvic floor because they think that is what is causing their urinary leakage or will cause problems down the road. When in reality, if your pelvic floor goes from like this open to this open to this closed, that quick stretch can actually cause your pelvic floor to go into spasm and to become too tight. And so when your pelvic floor is too tight,
I was a tight mama.
yeah.
Maybe.
More often than not, moms are too tight. And then what happens is you're tight all day. When you need the muscle to function, it's so tired that it just fails. Right. So I always describe, like, if you were to hold grocery bags all day, you could do it probably, but then you go to set them down and pick up a pencil, your arm would be like, oh, I can't do it. Exactly. And that's what is happening to your pelvic floor. We're asking it to, like, okay, be strong enough so that when I laugh, cough, jump, sneeze, I'm not going to pee, but that's too much then for the pelvic floor because of what you did all day. So the first thing we need to do is stretch these tight, injured muscles, because there's also injury that can happen, whether it's a C-section because those muscles were cut in your abdomen, right, or a vaginal birth. There's oftentimes tearing, whether mom knows or not. And that could be a full tear, so you could have an episiotomy, or it could just be minor tears, but it's still tearing of a tissue that needs to now be healed. And so you need to stretch that, because a scar forms, which is good, but a scar is really hard. So we need to mobilize that tissue so that it can fully function later on. Got it. So always start with breath work.
Logistics, it makes so much sense when it's explained like this. It makes sense. It's like, that doesn't make sense. How would that work like that? It's like that. Okay, well, yes. If you look at it from this perspective, i.e. Dr. Lydia's explanation, it brings it all together. Like, yeah, why aren't we all thinking like that?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of this research isn't even being done necessarily on the pelvic floor. We extrapolate it from everything else, like all other surgeries. They would say, oh, if I always say a man, because I want to give some sort of comparison for like husband to wife. Right. If a husband had hernia surgery, which is still in the abdomen, but the scar is very minimal compared to like a C-section. One, they would have 6 weeks off. They would have the tissue mobilized, like you would be stretching that out. And then they would slowly increase core rehabilitation, so that way you can regain your core strength after you had a tear or a cut.
Right.
And that's like so tiny compared to, one, your belly expanding during pregnancy to the point where your muscles separate, and then potential tearing of your pelvic floor or right through your abdominal wall if you had a C-section. So we extrapolate all of the work that is done in the rehab of like a hernia surgery. And shouldn't we be doing at least that for pregnancy?
Yes.
And that's just at least.
I love that you say that, you know, the care that women receive post-birth is shitty compared to the care that you get when you break an ankle or sprain an ankle.
Sprain an ankle even,
like, it's crazy, the least amount of care that is given on the birthing person after their body just released a human being.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Yeah, probably one of like the most important things. I mean, just for humanity, like we're trying to continue the race, but like, that's okay.
I know, it's like,
you'll be fine.
Just figure it out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Make sure the little human is fine, but the person taking care of the human, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We're here all together. We are going to revolutionize this entire childbirth industry. And it starts with conversations like this.
Yes. And I think moms need to know, so that way they can start to plan that, right? And you want to know this ideally during pregnancy so that you can have this mindset prepared. There's a lot of stuff that's out of your control in the postpartum period because your life is being dictated by a little baby.
Exactly.
But at least if you aren't trying to figure out like, what do I do now? Like if you at least have the plan, then you can be like, okay, I know what I should do. This is what I have time for. Exactly. This is what I'm going to do. And then that's it. I would never tell a mom, oh, you only got through 75%. I don't care if you did 2%. It's more than what you would have done without this information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with you. So I wanted to, okay, first let's quickly touch, did we do the all four? You said we did the breathing. We're on
Breath
one,
work.
the breathing.
Number two is pretty simple. I always talk about posture, because posture suffers no matter what with this little baby, only because if you just think of how small they are, where their head is, for
Oh, yeah.
years, you're
So
going down. Yeah. So in our rehab program, we focus on strengthening up the upper back muscles, so that way your muscles will keep you in good posture, that you don't have to necessarily think about it. And I know as a chiropractor, we had to put posture in as like one of the 4 key elements, because, you know, it's super important for us. Number 3, which is oftentimes what moms want the most and what they probably know a little bit more information on, is the core rehabilitation. And so every mom who goes to full term, and I'm going to say like 99%, will have diastasis recti,
yes,
which is that separation of your abdominal muscles.
Right.
The only reason why they separate is because you actually have a ligament right down like the center of your 6-pack. And we know every ligament stretches during pregnancy. So a ligament that is in the center of your belly, where you are getting the biggest, is obviously going to stretch to a pretty large degree. So what happens is the 2 halves of your core muscles, they separate. The problem is that center point, that ligament, is not strong like a muscle. It's literally just a connective tissue. So postpartum, you have this separation. Your 2 halves of your core can no longer share the load across.
Right.
Your core muscle is supposed to act like a corset. It is supposed to transfer load across your whole stomach and support your low back and your pelvis for every movement you do every day. And now you have basically, I always refer to it as like a pothole. So you have this like little divot. The pothole could be this big, the pothole could be this big. It's still a break in that tissue, so it's going to have an effect on the function. So we really focus on, and this can be like right away postpartum, like 2 weeks if you have a vaginal uncomplicated birth. We do wait about 4 weeks if you have a C-section, just to make sure your scar, your stitches are healing and there's no infection and that kind of stuff. But we get into it right away on just like learning how to turn those muscles on to reconnect them to the brain. So that way, when you are moving throughout your day, you're learning how to activate these muscles.
Got it.
This is so important because the deep core muscles, they don't run up and down like your 6-pack. They run across like a corset.
Okay.
And when you contract those muscles, it cinches your waist inwards. So it actually brings those 2 sides of your core muscles together, and it allows that closure of your diastasis. Because this was one thing I was noticing with my women who were in menopause, they still had a gap. And it wasn't, So we were like, okay, well, first thing we got to do is figure out how to close this gap from pregnancy.
Wow.
And the problem is how we diagnose the gap. So it's very simple. You basically just feel your fingers in between the 2 sides of the muscles. Okay. If it's more than 2 fingers, it's considered diastasis. Now, a lot of moms, it'll just be 2 fingers. So I'll be like, check, medically, you do not have diastasis recti anymore. Awesome. But then when we go see how deep it is, it's like they're like, okay, so you're in my insides at this point. That is more important to me because it's such a deep pothole that all those layers of core muscles are not connected. So it got close enough that aesthetically you're good, but aesthetically doesn't help us function. Exactly. So we need to make sure we're doing that like deep healing and making sure that the fingers almost feel like they're hitting like a tissue that would be as hard as your nose versus like digging into your cheek, which is oftentimes what we're feeling. So that's sort of the core section. And then
3 fingers, feel it, make sure
so
there's no potholes.
So you feel it like through here, and then you go all the way down. Usually the belly button is where it's going to be the worst because it's where your belly was the widest.
Yes.
And then you want to keep going all the way down to like your pubic bone. Oh, I wore a perfect shirt for this.
Exactly.
So you follow the line down. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then finally, the last thing we go through in every class is glute strength, because what happens is during pregnancy, because your core gets weaker and it will get weaker, the muscle stretched, your glute muscles actually compensate, because the glutes and the core actually do the same movement of your pelvis. So if you have strong core muscles, it will lift your pelvis up from the front.
Right.
If these muscles aren't working and your glutes squeeze, the same movement is happening. So you can either have a lift from the front or a tilt from the back.
Got it.
So our bodies just adapt and your glutes start to fire. It's also why moms get something that like has been coined like mommy bum, where it's like your butt kind of sinks under and it's like your jeans are looser in the bottom and that kind of stuff. That's because your butt is like tight all the time. Whereas what we want to do is change how your butt is functioning, because your glutes are supposed to be big movers. They're supposed to propel you forward when you walk. They're not just supposed to be on all day while you're standing there holding your baby.
Exactly.
But our core isn't functioning properly and our posture is bad. So then our glutes need to be this like stabilizing muscle. And through our rehab program, we try and change your glutes back to how they were functioning prior.
Right. Got it. We are so happy that your program exists. And this is my segue into thanking Dr. Lydia for rallying behind Healing Mama's fundraising campaign. So we have brought together, I'm going to bring it up right now. Oh, it worked. Oh, we can't really see the cream, but you can see Dr. Lydia's beautiful face. Oh, no, there's my son.
He's like, Mom, I need 2 days of airtime.
Exactly. He's good. That was fun party last night. But yes, so exclusively on our fundraising campaign, you can buy for yourself or for a loved one who is expecting our postpartum rehab package, which gives you access to Dr. Lydia's postpartum rehab program. And you will also get, I know it's cut off, you'll see it when we talk this afternoon with Denise, because we're actually talking to Denise from Matter Company, who's the CEO and founder.
Oh, awesome.
Talk to her about her cream and all of the magical ingredients in it. And so we have partnered her rehab program and Matter's leg and back cream, so you can use them in conjunction to help loosen and ease the tension and the muscles, because your body, as we said earlier, just birthed the human, and so now your body needs to be given its proper amount of rehab. And what better way to do it than through the products and the tools right at your fingertips. And so head over to our fundraising page so you can get access to Dr. Lydia's amazing postpartum package that we have prepared for you. And again, that's only available on our fundraising page, which is at ifundwomen.com. And you can just search Healing Mama Co. and you will find all of our amazing prenatal, postpartum, and then we also have some goodies that have nothing to do with childbirth, because not everybody's expecting right now. So you can support us, and you can also just make a contribution, because every dollar makes a huge impact in the work that we're doing to be able to support new and expecting parents, and also for us to be able to support vulnerable expected parents. So thank you, Dr. Lydia, for
no problem.
Create this most amazing and useful and practical reward. And I also want to talk about a brand new offering that you and your amazing, I'm going to put that picture back on. Actually, you know what? We're going to keep that one on. And I want to talk about this new role that Dr. Lydia is taking on with us here at Healing Mama Co. So one of the new systems that we will be releasing later in 2021 will be around pregnancy and infant loss. and we are creating a brand new system that will be called our Healing Butterfly System. And Dr. Lydia is going to be coming on as our chiropractic expert and supporting parents, the birthing person and the birthing partner, and giving her her knowledge of how you can support yourself after experiencing a loss, because there is a childbirth that occurs, there is a postpartum period that occurs, and that deserves to be honored and also healed, and not just here's some, you know, pain meds, good luck. You know, it's taking it to a conversation where it deserves to be talked about, and not that it needs to be in your face, but that it's a normal conversation that you can feel safe and comfortable having. So Dr. Lydia is going to be supporting us with this brand new system that, like I mentioned, we are going to be releasing later in 2021. So
yeah, we want moms out there who have experienced infant loss, pregnancy loss, to feel like they can do this form of healing and not feel like they're the only one in the mommy and me group who doesn't have the me.
Right.
You were still a mom, you still had a pregnancy, and so you have to heal from that pregnancy. And we want to provide various tools and resources to make sure that you're able to take care of your body, and your roadblock isn't the fact that I'm the only one here that has been going through this experience, because there are other women out there, and we want to make sure that the language we're using, you feel good about it, because we don't want you to not get care because you feel like this isn't right for you, this isn't fueling you and feeding your recovery. Because
Right.
all that we want to make sure is that there's emotional and physical trauma. We can deal with the physical aspect of postpartum the same way we would deal with anyone who's postpartum, but there is physical manifestation of that emotional aspect as well, that we want to make sure that we're dealing with all aspects of your healing. And it's not just emotional and physical. There is this blend of the two that we need to make sure we help you through as well.
Exactly. And that it's a methodology, and you take the parts of the system that fits you in that moment, and you take other parts and leave it as a later to do. And that's the ideas and intentions behind the Healing Butterfly System, is that it gives you a holistic approach to your recovery and your healing, so that you are able to move with your life and this experience that you've had in both the physical and emotional and spiritual and mental, and all of the ways, bringing it together and finding life, finding your new life through all of this. And so we're excited to bring that to life, which like I said, is going to be happening. We anticipate by the end of Q1 in 2021, but
Yeah.
as things go, and being amongst COVID, when I want the things done, it doesn't necessarily happen on the day that I want it done. There's like a bit of a week or 2 week lag, but we're getting closer to those dates. So thank you again for contributing to that, and for supporting our fundraiser and the work that we're doing here at Healing Mama Co. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you can just give us, if we haven't already touched upon it, one more blind spot that you see happen so often that we haven't already talked about. Is there
One
more?
big blind spot is how you're holding your baby. And you may have seen this on Instagram, but I just want everyone to realize there's small things that you could do right now, today, that you could start thinking about, and you don't necessarily have to go through a whole program. The program will obviously make it easier and better and faster and all that stuff, but I'm going to stand up so that I can show you.
Yes, please.
Let me just move here. Okay. So oftentimes, you're not going to be able to see my head, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Oftentimes as we hold our baby, I don't have anything to hold, but that's okay. We do this like backwards, like stance.
Yeah.
So you'll either do the hip bop. So baby's here, baby's up here, baby's somewhere. And you oftentimes will stand like more backwards.
Got
When
it.
you do this, if your rib cage is not directly on top of your pelvis,
Got it.
what's happening is you're using your butt muscles and you're putting pressure through your low back, and then also your stomach is now like elongated. So your core is not working, your butt is working, and your low back is being like jammed and compressed.
Got it.
This is something simple that moms do all day long, right? You've got a baby on your hip, you're leaning backwards and like you're cooking food, you're folding laundry, you're on the phone, you're working, you're doing something, and you don't realize you're hurting yourself. So what we challenge you to do is first pull yourself more center, still keep baby on your hip, but now instead of being here, you're going to be even weight through both feet. And what I want you to almost feel like you're doing is like lean forward. I want you to bring your rib cage right on top of your pelvis.
Right.
Don't let it stick backwards. So your belly shouldn't be like sticking forward. We want to bring you so you're nice and stacked.
Got it.
Like a can.
It almost feels like you're activating your abdominals being straight.
Yeah, right away you're going to be like, this is like a workout, because it should. When you stand up, your muscles should be on so that you're not putting all the force through your joints.
Got it.
Because that's what can cause then at the end of the day, or like when you wake up, you're like, my back is so tight and stiff. Those joints are irritated. One side might be worse than the other. It can start to lead to sciatica. It can lead to hip pain. There's so many ways in which it can present itself physically. But if we just start to learn how to stand properly, you're already going to be doing a core workout, which is great because you're not doing, there's no extra time needed to do that. And as your baby gets heavier and heavier, this will actually become harder and harder, which means your stomach muscles are going to get stronger and stronger.
I love it. It is, we're going to call this the baby carrying challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to get mamas to now consciously think about how their posture is while holding their baby, and also benefiting from activating your core muscles at the same time.
And a recommendation for remembering is you can do two things. You can set alarms in your phone. So I usually tell moms to start with just twice a day. So you can do like 9 and 2 p.m., 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., set an alarm that says just like check posture. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm holding my baby right now, or next time I grab baby, I'm going to make sure I do this properly. Or you can leave like a sticky note or a sign by the crib or in your baby's room or in your toddler's room. So that way, when you see that, that's usually when you're going to pick them up.
Right.
So then you can be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Make it easy for yourself. You're not supposed to just remember all of this and be able to do it like that. Like no one does. More often than not, it takes about a week for someone to think, oh yeah, I'm not doing that right. And they don't do anything about it. They just become aware. Oh yeah, I do stand like that. I do that a lot. Then the next week is when they start to actually change their habits.
Got it.
So becoming aware is step 1. And then step 2 is integrating these changes.
Yes. Perfect. This is so fantastic. That is such a simple little bit of extra care that you can do for yourself, and it's as simple as an alarm and then a sticky note that you put by your baby's crib, or you put in the kitchen where you are preparing baby's bottles or baby's meals, wherever you are often with baby, having these little quick reminders like check posture, and then eventually you'll just be doing it on the
exactly
every day.
You can throw the sticky notes out eventually.
Alarms off.
Yeah.
So great. Okay, so I'm just gonna put you on the spot really quickly and just ask, because Dr. Lydia and the Ray Clinic is also a part of our Healing Mama family. So the patients and clients of Dr. Lydia get exclusive discounts on all of our Healing Mama offerings. And by the end of January, we're going to be at 50 products. And 50 brands, over 150 products by the end of January that are all parental care focused around childbirth and postpartum. So, as I mentioned, clients and patients of the Ray Clinic and Dr. Lydia get exclusive discounts from us. So contact her if you want to get in on that.
And we have some of our bags for a lot of them are the ones that we carry are for delivery and that immediate postpartum period, but then you don't have to wait for shipping.
So. Exactly. So you can pick up our labor and postpartum system right at the Ray Clinic in person. Yeah. Whenever you've got a time to just do let's say a curbside or doorside.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, what, if you do, have a favorite of the Healing Mama offerings?
Like of a system?
Anything. System, bundle, product, company, brand.
I love the labor and delivery entire system. I'm now like the person, if you invite me to your baby shower, that's what you're getting. And it's kind of funny because it's anyone who doesn't have a baby yet, they like look at that and they're like, you gave her like a thing to make, like you gave her diapers and pads and protein bars and teas, and it's like prune juice, like all this, and they're like, exactly. Fun, why'd you give that? And some of the first time moms I give it to, they're like, what? And I'm like, trust me, you just need this, because we were talking probably almost a year ago, maybe months ago, about how you just don't want to be that mom in the first week postpartum going to Walmart or going to a store trying to find that product. Exactly. At least this way you can try it, and then you can order some more and you have some. So that is my ultimate favorite, because it's so simple. It's in a pack. Mom can like open it to look, but you close it back up, you put it with your hospital bag, you bring it with you. There's nothing you need to think of, which is always the best gift I think you can give a mom or an expecting mom.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is actually why we created Parent Shower Week, was also to highlight our new Parent Shower Registry. So
awesome.
Tell all of your expectant loved ones, patients, and clients that they can create a registry for themselves.
Yes.
So we'll create a personalized catalog with all of the products that they want to have gifted to them. So you can partner that, still have your baby registry at all of the places, and then now partner it with the Healing Mama registry so that your guests can now buy you your baby stuff and yours and your partner's supportive healing stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's a new feature that we officially launched this week as well, along with our fundraiser. And we just launched it yesterday, and we've had over 18 expectant families create a registry. So we're excited to support at least 18 upcoming baby showers in 2021. So you can tell all your people.
I will.
Build a parent shower registry, because you're going to need it.
Yeah.
And then head to our fundraiser and get that as well as part of the parent shower registry. All right, Lydia, thank you so much for your time. Can you tell everybody the best ways that they can contact you if they have any questions or potentially look at hiring you and your services as well?
Yeah, for sure. So you can always find me here on Instagram. You can just send me a DM through Instagram. In my Instagram link in bio, you'll also see I have my own website, so you can just go on there to check out some information if you just want to peruse. But as well, you can book online with me, so you can do a virtual appointment, and so then again, I can see anyone all across Ontario. You don't have to leave the house, which oftentimes with new moms is awesome. We can do a very detailed history, physical, and treatment virtually, which a lot of people are like, you can't touch me. We can do so much virtually. Or if you're local or in the area, we are in Burlington. With the lockdown, we are considered essential, so we are still open. So we are following all the precautions. We've got our masks, we've got our air purifiers, we've got our face shields. So if you are comfortable and if you want to come into the office, the book with me link in my bio, you get to choose in person or virtual. So
Perfect.
all different options. You can just peruse my Instagram or my website. You can send me a message to sort of just get some questions answered, or you can book with me to get a full assessment and some treatment.
Amazing. Yeah. And if none of those work, you can head to healingmamaco.com and go to Meet Our Family, click on the Ray Clinic logo, and you will be directed directly to all the ways to contact Lydia as well. So we've had a few comments. One mom said she didn't know any of this information. No one really explained this before, and I had 2 babies. Yeah, we're here now. We're gonna open up all the doors and talk about all of the amazing, all of the devastating, and everything in between here at Healing Mama Co. and all of the amazing practitioners and partners that have come together to bring this to life. So,
and when it comes to rehab, it is never too late. You are postpartum for life. So even if you've had the 2 babies and you're like, oh, I missed out on this. No, you didn't. We still have it. We can still make changes 50 years down the road. So don't worry. We got you.
Amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lydia. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time and all the work that you do. And thank you for joining Parent Shower Week. We are so excited to have started day 2 bright and early with you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I always love talking about postpartum rehab. It's one of my faves.
Amazing. All right, Lydia, have a great Tuesday. Take care.
You too. Bye, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.